To our Expedia Cruises travel talk featuring exploring Alaska and Europe with Holland America's new Pinnacle class ships. I'm Randy Tawaniak, owner of the West Edmonton location of Expedia Cruises. Things are actually looking much brighter for us to get back to traveling in the very near future. There's been a lot of positive news on the vaccines that are coming, hopefully in the new year. The rapid tested trial in Calgary has started, which allows mandatory quarantine period down to only 2 days. Edmonton's going to start their rapid testing plan by the end of December, supposedly, and Ontario, BC are looking at it as well to get people back traveling safely. And cruise lines are getting prepared to return to sailing with enhanced protocols and safety measures to allow guests to travel safer than their communities they come from. There was a nice news story about Holland America today. 4 ships are heading over from Europe to North America to start taking on passengers, hopefully very, very soon. And soon I'm confident we'll get back to traveling. And I don't know about you, but after shoveling snow after I got home from work, I'm desperate need for a vacation after all we've been through this year. And I can't wait to get back to traveling when it's safe to do so. Our Expedia Cruises offices are open and here for you. And just a reminder that we sell more than cruises. We can help you arrange all types of vacations, including all-inclusive resort vacation, hotel stays, and of course, our favorite, which is cruising. For those on the call that have not attended the Zoom meeting, everybody is muted right now just because of the size of the group. You do have control if you want the video of yourself on or off. And if you have any questions, please use the chat feature and we'll answer them in the chat or after the presentation. And now I'd like to introduce today's special guest all the way from rainy North Vancouver, Tom Steer, Business Development Manager for Holland America Line. Tom will be talking about exploring Alaska and Europe with Holland America's new Pinnacle class ships. Welcome, Tom.
Hi, Randy. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Yeah, we haven't been shoveling any snow, but I can tell you we haven't seen the sun for about 8 days now. So, yeah. Starting to wonder if it'll ever come back. So are we ready to go? I think everyone's here.
Everybody's here. We're ready to go, Tom.
Fantastic. All righty. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is get my screen up on your screens. So hopefully you can see this right now. You can see that wonderful dam ship. Before we get stuck into all the good stuff and all those wonderful cruises and talk about those ships, I do want to address something very important, kind of the elephant in the room, I guess you could say, and that is what we are planning for our return to sail, our return to cruise. It's very important. Obviously, everyone's wondering quite how this is going to work. So I have some information I can share, but things are changing minute by minute, day by day. We're working with the CDC around the clock, the WHO. We're working in lockstep with all the clear organization cruise lines and world's leading cruise lines, preparing and working on these protocols. And as more information becomes available, we'll be sharing it. You can find some information like this on our website. But if you are curious and you'd like to know, always reach out to your Expedia Cruises consultant. They can source the latest information that we're sharing. If you'd like to read through it. But like I say, it can and very likely will change. But there's some of the things we're doing. Obviously, all cruise lines are coming from a different starting point because our ships are more mid-size. We don't have things like the self-serve buffets. We're coming from a different start point, but we're all working together. And as Randy said, there was great news this week as we are getting closer to that return to sail. We're bringing our fleet closer to North America. They've been stationed in pods in various parts of the world, in Northern Europe, down there in the Bahamas, off the coast of Mexico, in the Pacific. And we're starting to cluster them closer together so we can start redistributing our crew, reassigning crew to those ships. So we're getting closer. So yeah, I should just briefly introduce myself so you know exactly who is talking. As Randy said, I represent Holland America. I actually work with our travel partners across the west of Canada. And it's always a pleasure to talk with folks like yourselves who are fans of cruising and fans of Holland America. I'd love to be there in person with you doing this, but obviously with the current way things are, this is the next best thing. But I always love speaking about Holland America. It's a brand that's so close to my heart. I spent many years sailing, working at sea, for Holland America as well as on land. In fact, I met my wife on a Holland America line ship. We've named our kids after Holland America line ships. Yeah, little Rotterdam is 4 and Noordam is 6. No, I'm joking. We just call them the damn kids. That's my best joke of the night. But in all seriousness, it is a fantastic brand that I love to talk about. And I'm going to start kind of at the beginning of the Holland America I'll give you a kind of a 101, I guess, for those of you who are on the call who perhaps haven't sailed Holland America, because I know there's quite a few of you who are mariners who sail on the damn ships regularly, but I know there's some of you who haven't or haven't done so for quite a few years. So this will be a kind of a little refresher or explain kind of what we're doing now as our ships have been evolving and we innovate, you know, year after year. Did I get muted? Can you guys hear me? It says I'm... Hold on, let me try this.
Oh, you're good again. Oh, now you're muted, Tom.
There we go.
There we go.
I don't know how much you guys missed there. I thought, okay, they've had enough. It's like that. What's that called? Night of the Apollo, where they pull the axe off with the big stick. Yeah, where was I? So Holland America, in a nutshell, we're for explorers, foodies, and music lovers. I'll explain kind of what we mean by that in just a second. But essentially, you know, we're not the cruise line that you'll find roller coasters or go-karts. That there's a market for those kind of things, but there's also a growing market of for folks who aren't looking for that anymore, or perhaps have only been on small ships. They want more variety and more space on board, but don't want to have those kind of gimmicks. So we occupy that kind of wonderful kind of middle ground. We're known for having mid-sized ships. But in fact, we these days say perfectly sized. And what I mean by that is that there are other cruise lines that used to be called mid-sized, and now they're much, much bigger, but they still call themselves mid-sized. We're still true mid-sized, on average around 2,000 guests. As some of those other lines have got to 3,000, 4,000, you won't find that with Holland America. So that's why we say perfectly sized. Our staterooms on average are larger than other premium cruise lines, more spacious areas, you know, in terms of the public spaces on board. So that's why we say perfectly sized. But it's more kind of the classic feel that we're known for in terms of the size and look of our ships. Now, there's a lot going on underneath the hood, so to speak. I'm not going to talk about all these aspects of Holland America, all these great partnerships and things we have on board. I'm going to maybe touch on some. But as you can see, we've got a lot going on these days, a lot of great programs that our guests come back time and time for. One thing that I like pointing out on this picture, because it's not often you hear it talked about, but you can see it front and center in this shot here, is our Magradome. That is our sliding roof right there in the middle of the picture. That is pretty much unique in the cruise industry. We're the only cruise line that has that. And what that means is our wonderful Lido pool deck area can be used regardless of the weather. You know, we sail to 365 days a year to all continents. Some days it's going to rain. With other cruise lines, if you know, the sky starts pouring and everyone's out on that pool deck, they have to go back down into the ship, creating more kind of crowded spaces. With us, we just close that Magradome and you can use that wonderful pool area. So it's just kind of a unique feature that I like to point out, but that creates more of this kind of spacious feel. The types of cruises we have kind of come from all areas of cruising. So anniversary couples, kind of sisters getaway, girls getaway, you know, the whole family going for a big reunion in Alaska, you know, grandparents, grandchildren, cousins, aunts, uncles, everyone just goes for the fun all together, kind of multi-generational thing. There's not really one type of cruiser. But something I mentioned at the start, which kind of unites everyone, is the fact that we're known for our destinations because we've been doing it for so long. We say we're for explorers. And what we mean by that is we've been doing this so long. We've been cruising to parts of the world for decades upon decades. You know, we've been cruising to exotic areas, you know, for many, 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 many years before other cruise lines even have set their first ship out in the Caribbean. So we have relationships going back a long way with ports. around the world, and that really plays out, especially in places like Europe, that we're going to talk about now. You'll see that in the itineraries, the way we can get into certain ports, the way we can stay for extended periods and access certain areas of those ports, or berths in those ports. But really, what we mean by this destination expertise and immersion is we have a depth and breadth no one else has. So more ports overall, and we have more variety because we have so many itineraries. You don't usually get both of those things together. There's another kind of way we kind of occupy both, best of both worlds on board, and that is when it comes to food. We've always been known as a cruise line for foodies, but I think really what it comes down to is, again, because of this mid-size that we have the ability to offer, the classic dining room experience, which is, either open seating or fixed seating, but a different menu every meal time. It feels like that traditional cruise ship dining room experience, plus a selection of alternate dining experiences for a special night in a certain theme restaurant, which is different to what you'd normally find in the industry. You usually find small ships with just one dining room, maybe a second option, or ships where there are 20 different paid options, and the main dining room has the same menu every single mealtime. So that's why we occupy this wonderful middle ground, and that's why it appeals to so many people. We don't have one celebrity chef on board. We have a team of restaurateurs and proprietors, Michelin star chefs, and they all kind of inject their own energy and enthusiasm and creativity into the menus. We find that works better and has won us more recognition and accolades than just, say, having a branded partnership with one famous chef above one of the restaurants. So that's kind of one of the steps involved in this. And something that's worth noting is, for those of you who have sailed river cruises before, this might appeal to you. We take the culinary experience out into the field with shore excursions these days. And what that means is, we'll have, say, kind of shopping with the chef kind of style experiences. We'll break bread with locals, where you can go into local towns, small towns, see how the locals use traditional, locally sourced ingredients, traditional recipes. And this came off the back of that kind of river cruise industry. When we saw the spike in river cruising, 15 years ago or so, and folks went to try a river cruise or two, and then they came back to ocean, they were asking for more of these up close and personal food experiences. So that's what we've done, and we find it works so well. Even in Alaska, there are foodie tours in Alaska. You can go out and harvest kelp and oysters with the locals. You can do backstreet walking tours, foodie tours, where you go and sample dishes created by local chefs in some of the top hotels and restaurants in the various ports in Alaska. So yeah, across the board, not just what you would think instantly Europe and Asia with those foodie tours. And the other part of Holland America, that before we get into the destinations, I must mention, this is something we've really kind of helped to turn the industry upside down with, or on its head with, and that is what we've done with music on board. We took the idea of having just regular cruise ship music venues with a cruise ship music musicians who are just going to crew who play in one lounge, then you might find them playing another lounge. We changed that. We said, let's have 2, 3, or 4 music venues depending on the ship, and let's create that venue for that band and that style of music. And these are professional musicians who only play in that particular venue. They don't change their jacket or their name tag wherever they're playing. And this works so well. They're like individual shows. We created an area called Music Walk. So we have all these venues on one deck. So you've got this real kind of life and heart, the beating heart and soul of the ship. BB King's Blues Club, which is an 8 or 10 piece band. They've got the crowd on their feet. They're playing everything from, Chuck Berry to Bruno Mars, Beyonce, whatever it is. The crowd are on their feet there. Then across the way, you've got Billboard on board. These are dueling pianos, not just one small piano bar, a big piano bar. We extended this space, 2 piano entertainers with the jokes and the laughs, and they're kind of riffing off each other. Show tunes, whatever it is. One might have one style and the other has another style, different kind of preference musically, and they just play off one another. So, the classic sing-alongs, but in a much more open and kind of conducive space to that. Then Lincoln Center, so we're still true to the classical style on board. But these folks who play for us in Lincoln Center stage, they've all come through Lincoln Center in New York, which if you know a little about classical music will know that is the institution in North America for classically trained musicians. And then another venue that we're actually just unveiling on our Pinnacle class ships, which I'll come to in a little while, the Rolling Stone Rock Room. But yeah, music is a real key. So seeing all these venues kind of firing on all 4 cylinders when you've come back from port, it's just so much fun. You've got so much choice in terms of entertainment in the evening. And lastly, before I talk about these ports, I just want to mention service. We get kind of name checked for service, not just within the hospitality industry, in the retail industry. Our name is used kind of as an example of how to deliver service. I can't mention any of those brands, but we often hear about it. You know, Holland America used as a shining example. But the main reason for this, and I find this personally, having spent so many years on board, and many of you may agree, is due kind of mostly, I would say, to our fantastic crew in the beverage department from the Philippines, and in the culinary and housekeeping department from Indonesia. They are the backbone of the company, and they win hearts and minds each and every cruise. So this is the current fleet, the DAM ships, those wonderful mid-sized ships. And it's a very exciting year next year because we have a brand new ship joining the fleet called Rotterdam. She's one of these Pinnacle class ships that Randy mentioned at the beginning. The Pinnacle class ships are classic Holland America through and through. They've got that classic look, beautiful kind of Holland America style. They're only slightly larger than the previous ships that we've had, only 15,000 tons. They're still under 100,000 tons. We're the only premium cruise line out there where the whole fleet is under 100,000 tons. That's not very big at all. And what we found with these wonderful Pinnacle class ships is that folks who have sailed for many years with us on the R class ships, the wonderful Signature class and Vista class ships, they've got to know all those different ships in the fleet, classes in the fleet. They've welcomed this Pinnacle class in with open arms, and they sail on them in just the same way as they do with the other classes in the fleet. So this isn't like a new direction of Holland America with a much larger type of ship. Only a small jump size-wise. And just so you can take a quick peek, this is an example of these examples of some of the rooms. Gorgeous suites on board, beautiful decor. Here are some of those lounges, music lounges. So there's lots of information that you can check out on the Pinnacle class ships. If you'd like to kind of keep up to date with it, do speak with your Expedia Cruises consultant. They have all the information as it's kind of coming through on these. And this is just kind of from the last few days, directly from the yards. She's actually under construction in the Fincantieri shipyards in Mestre, just outside of Venice. That's where she is right now. We're currently fitting out the interior, but she'll be ready to sail this coming summer. So we're very excited about this. So I'm going to talk about some of her itineraries first of all. She's there in Europe with another one of the Pinnacle class ships. Now, I'd love to tell you about all these itineraries, but I don't think you would be happy with me talking, you know, for 24 hours about every single itinerary. So I'm only going to talk about a few. So we've kind of cherry picked some, but it gives you an example of where these Pinnacle class ships are sailing. So Europe is where the Rotterdam starts her kind of journey, as it were, the debut season. And for us, sailing in Europe is like going home. Holland America is 150 years old, essentially. We are from the Netherlands. Originally, the heart and soul of Holland America is from Holland. We've had a North American head office for about 50 years. So we're in a very unique spot. Again, Holland America always occupy this wonderful spot in the middle ground where we have that authenticity because Holland America is from Europe. We have those relationships with Europe that date way back, but we've been focused on a North American mindset, delivering an experience for a North American client, for a guest or client on board for many years. So you don't normally find that in the industry. It's usually a European line, maybe with a US office here or there, or a North American line. You don't get this kind of duality like Holland America has. It's a bit like when you go to Europe with Holland America, it's a bit like if you ever visit a family or a friend or a family member in a town or city or country you've never been to, and you go to visit them, and they give you the inside track. They take you around, show you their favorite spots. That's what it's like cruising with Holland America. That's how it made me feel sailing for many years in Europe. I probably spent 5 years doing these Europe cruises on board when I worked on board as a future cruise consultant. So I got to experience it through our guests' eyes, and no one else has that kind of that true authenticity, in my opinion. So there's some marquee ports in Northern Europe that are very exciting that we'll be visiting in 2021, including these beautiful, sophisticated Stockholm, Bruges. Whenever I see that picture of Bruges, the port would be Zeebrugge, takes you to Bruges. You can get to Brussels or Bruges, but whenever I see that, I just think of all my favorite things about that city. Just strolling along those canals, the Moulay frites, the Belgian Trappist beer, the chocolate, that just architecture. It's just gorgeous. There's so many just incredible experiences in Northern Europe. And I think the great thing about Northern Europe is it's great for a first-time cruiser in Europe, or someone who's only done the Mediterranean and then looking to take the next natural step in Europe, because it's got the same kind of intensity, lots of different ports. It's quite busy in that respect. There's such a variety of art, culture, history, language, but also so relaxing at the same time. And it's one of those areas that people go back to time and time again. Northern Europe isn't like a one and done. You know, you may have done elements of the Baltic, but then you come back and you do Iceland and the Norwegian fjords, beautiful Bergen there. You know, that's the perfect postcard shot of Bergen. So this is an example of what the Rotterdam's doing during her premiere season. Now, when we have a brand new ship in Europe, and she starts sailing in August, by the way. So when Holland America has a brand new ship in Europe, we will make it a whole season. We don't just do one cruise and then it's done. Everyone comes for that one cruise and there you go. It's an entire season, almost like a rock star tour of Europe, or wherever we happen to be sailing for that premiere season. Usually it's Europe, just like this one. It's kind of a classic. So our guests, our mariners who sail with Holland America many times will often come and sail 1 or 2 cruises together, combine some of these cruises. Folks who have heard about these stories of being a part of an inaugural cruise or a premiere season from fellow guests on previous cruises at dinner, they'll come out and check it out for the first time. So it's a big kind of celebration. It's magical. Every cruise throughout that inaugural season has, you know, a debut port that we haven't visited before, and you step off the ship or you pull into port and you see marching bands. You know, you've got the fire boats in the harbor everywhere you go, plaque ceremonies. It's just so exciting. Everyone just taps into that spirit. So this sailing is one she's sailing a few times, and that is one of my favorites because it's a little bit of everything. You've got beautiful Norwegian fjords, Iceland, 3 ports in Iceland, including an overnight in Reykjavik, which if you were to cruise to Iceland on its own would, you know, that would be a fair sum. So the value of having that in the entire cruise is great. You get the Shetland Islands where you can see those Shetland ponies in their natural habitat, meet a real life Shetland pony and the Neolithic remains, or ruins there, I should say. Invergordon for Loch Ness, Edinburgh as well. So a really nice mix. We're sailing in the Norwegian fjords, and Holland America is permitted to. We meet all those emission requirements that they recently introduced. Our ships still sail there, which is fantastic news. But again, that wonderful mix of architecture and history. 2 days in St. Petersburg. If you do the Baltic, if you haven't done Europe before or Northern Europe, the Baltic is the best place to start. So Rotterdam is sailing this on the left-hand side here, round trip from Amsterdam, the spiritual home of Holland America. 2 days in St. Petersburg. So you get the Church of the Spilt Blood, St. Catherine's Palace, the Hermitage, medieval Tallinn. Warnemünde in Berlin is great for the Cold War landmarks, takes you to Checkpoint Charlie. So much on offer there. And this is a great example of how you can put 2 cruises together. Speak with the Expedia Cruises team about this. They're experts at doing this for you. You might not find these options on your own, but we can put 2 cruises together for you. You stay in the same stateroom all the way through. So you get the Baltic and then straight on through with the Homecoming, sailing back to the US by this really cool route through the English Channel there, the Jurassic coast of England, Le Havre for the D-Day beaches, Bruges as well. So a great example of these combinations. You can do that, a combination coming up from Rome on the Rotterdam, or the fjords combined with the Baltic. So speak with your Expedia Cruises consultant. they'll let you know how it works. You get about a 10% price break when you do this. So, and you get, you know, twice the ports. And if you're going to fly over there, you may as well do the whole thing in one go. So it's a great way to see Europe that way. And her sister ship, by the way, New Statendam, another Pinnacle class ship. She came out just over a year or so ago. She's doing a few things that are a little bit different up there in Northern Europe. I love some of these sailings. This one in the middle, going all the way around the British Isles, is rather unique. This one gives you that element of Scotland the same way, but lots of Ireland. A lot of folks ask us for Ireland. You've got Cove for Cork, where you can visit Blarney Castle, kiss the Blarney Stone, you know, to get the gift of the gab if you don't already have it. Some of you may, I don't know. Belfast in Northern Ireland, the kind of interesting and eerie Isle of Man. Dublin as well, Dublin, which is the largest city in the world. Did you know that? The biggest city in the world, because it keeps doubling and doubling and doubling. Just checking if you guys are awake there. I see you are. You'll always respond to a terrible joke. I know that with a few groans. So yeah, New Statendam is there too. But let's dive down into the Mediterranean quickly, because the Mediterranean is very exciting in 2021. We've got some new sailings down there, kind of classic sailings returning, but some new sailings. And I showed this picture because I thought it's probably just after dinner for most of you. If you haven't eaten yet, I'm sorry if this is making you salivate, but the Mediterranean is all about the gastronomy, whether it's just snacks and all those beautiful street food delights, or, you know, just going big in every port and just having dinner in every port, and as we have so many overnight stays. But Mediterranean, very exciting for 2021. One of the reasons is because these classic 12-day sailings are returning, featuring the classic ports. So, you know, from Livorno, Florence and Pisa, we're down there in Dubrovnik, Croatian coast as well, the Greek islands, but Istanbul, where we haven't docked for about 8 years, we're now sailing to again. So back on the map, and it's one of my favorite cities. The city just transforms in the evening. It's the city that straddles Asia and Europe, and it takes on a whole perspective by night, you know, compared to the day. So many incredible spots to visit: the Kumkapi Fish Market, Topkapi Palace, Blue Mosque. It's just an incredible, vibrant city, and we spend 2 days there. So it will feature on a number of different voyages. But these are some of the things we're doing in the Mediterranean. We're trying to offer a different style of sailing, where it's not just about picking up, you know, going to the big busy ports, because you may or may not be aware, but it gets very busy in the Mediterranean, and lots of mega ships in some of these ports. So we're trying to wind the clock back and make some of these ports feel special again, and areas feel special again, like they would have been if you were cruising there 20, 30 years ago. So you're seeing with some of these itineraries, unfamiliar ports. This is the one that I mentioned that goes to Istanbul most frequently. It's overnight stay in Venice. You get almost 2 days in Venice at the beginning, so it kind of cuts out your need for a hotel. You get that overnight stay in Istanbul, the Greek islands. It's just such a wonderful kind of relaxing mix. And that combines potentially with this. You could stay on and make it a 24-day cruise. Venice, again, you get an extra night stay in Venice. It's almost 3 days through to Barcelona for kind of the glitzy, glamorous end of the Mediterranean. But the two that kind of also reinforce what I was just saying about that unique way we're trying to approach the Mediterranean with lesser known ports, or open it up, make it feel more relaxing, will be these two. So you may know, you know, Dubrovnik is a beautiful port. Those red roofs in Dubrovnik in Croatia, many of you have probably been, but it's so overrun, so busy throughout the summer months. Still beautiful, but so busy because so many folks want to go there to see where Game of Thrones was filmed. A lot of the traffic is driven by that. But on that Istrian coast of Croatia, there are so many other beautiful small towns with just as kind of stunning architecture and that wonderful sun-baked feel as Dubrovnik, like Var, like Korčula. Split is a larger town too. We're bringing these in. Koper in Slovenia, Marmaris in Turkey. We're bringing different ports into the mix, so you can have that Mediterranean experience without sacrificing that that atmosphere, because the Mediterranean is about atmosphere, just creating that atmosphere or the vibe, as you would say. So let's switch gears. I want to talk to you about Alaska, spend a few minutes here talking about Alaska, because it is a very important year for us up there in Alaska, where we will be sailing 74 years in Alaska, having a land and sea operation for 74 years this coming summer, which is pretty incredible. Not many cruise lines can say that. We've been winning awards for our Alaska operation for many, many years. We are the go-to name in Alaska. On the West Coast, we've got Seattle as obviously a major gateway, and Vancouver for the Holland America fleet. So that gives us a huge advantage, first off. But like I say, we win various awards for many reasons, and these are some of the reasons. But a big part of what we do there is we will give more time in Glacier Bay. We often say we have more permits than anyone else. And that might not really sound like anything special. I mean, what does a permit do for you when you're a cruiser? The fact the ship has a permit. Essentially what it does, it allows us to spend more time in Glacier Bay and visit it more frequently than other cruise lines. In fact, we're awarded twice as many permits or more than the next the runner-up in the permit world, so to speak. So that would be the equivalent to, if you had a choice of sailing on 3 different cruise lines, visiting, let's say, any port in the world, one cruise line didn't visit that port at all, the other visited it for 2 hours, the other spent a whole day there. That's what we do when it comes to Glacier Bay. We're not just in and out visiting the Marjorie Glacier and then done. We'll spend a whole day, lots of wildlife sighting opportunities, and multiple glaciers. So if you're going to pay to go to Alaska, why would you shortchange yourself and not spend that time in Glacier Bay? It is the jewel in the crown of Alaska. And it's a special year for us in Alaska because, and that's why this little fellow here has given us a round of applause, it's a very special year because one of those Pinnacle class ships, the first of the Pinnacle class ships, is coming to Vancouver to sail those itineraries every Saturday. That ship is the Koningsdam, the first of the Pinnacle class. She came out just a few years ago, and she is a truly beautiful ship. Koningsdam, the word koning meaning king in Dutch, this is really like the King's Dam. So that's why we say the king is coming, even though as a ship, she's a she. So I'm not sure what's happening there, but she is truly a beautiful ship. She's one of my favorite ships, and she will be sailing out of Vancouver every 7 days. And it's not a case of, if you've heard about, oh, there's a big new ship coming to Vancouver, you've heard that over the years. It's not one of those cases where a ship comes in and they have to wait for the tide to be super low to get under the Lions Gate Bridge, and that's it. They come in once for the spring and then once again in the fall. This is every 7 days. She is your local Alaska ship. For us in Western Canada, it's just so great having a gateway like Vancouver and a ship that sails every Saturday that is so special. So this is a great opportunity for you, if you've been to Alaska before, to do it again, but get a taste of the new Holland America ship. If you haven't sailed Alaska on a 7-day cruise, you're in for a treat. I mean, we'll dock in spots that other ships won't be able to. In Juneau, we dock right downtown, where other ships and cruise lines have to dock much further out. Same in Skagway. We have that full day in Glacier Bay. And yeah, you get to do it on the Koningsdam. Also for 2022, not just 2021, we're doing it for 2022. And I just want to pick up on one small point I made earlier. Remember I was talking about these cool music venues, and I told you about BB King's and the other venues. On the Pinnacle class ship, we have Rolling Stone Rock Room. So Rolling Stone Rock Room is another venue. So you got all that funk and and rock and disco and blues coming out of BB King's Blues Club, the sing-along kind of show tunes, and all the sing-along favorites in Billboard on board. You've got the classics in Lincoln Center. Now you've got classic 70s, kind of 60s, 70s, 80s rock. So think, Eagles, Led Zeppelin, The Who, you get the idea, kind of classic pub rock played by a professional Rolling Stone selected band. So yeah, some really cool features to check out on that ship. New areas, if you're a Holland America mariner and you haven't been on a Pinnacle class ship, there's the Grand Dutch Cafe. Aside from our regular coffee shop, we have the Grand Dutch Cafe, which is an authentic kind of Dutch cafe. It has this wonderful kind of relaxed atmosphere, and in the Grand Dutch Cafe, we'll serve Dutch treats like crepes and pastries, Dutch coffee and tea served on Royal Delft earthenware, Dutch lagers, and you've got this interior portion kind of to people watch, to enjoy the hubbub, and then kind of a exterior viewing area. So a really nice little venue. And the dining rooms are so fresh and exquisite. You've got this wonderful, open, spacious, fresh feel, which I think is very important. You know, as we return to cruise, you don't want to be cramped up in small dining. No, we don't feel, you know, who knows how we're all going to feel in 6 months' time, 8 months' time, but I'm sure we're all still going to appreciate just having that little bit of extra space. And I think when you see a dining room like that, it just makes you feel more comfortable right off the bat. So yeah, do check that out. If you're looking for 2022, speak with your Expedia Cruises consultant, and they'll definitely help you out with that. So before I wrap up, I'm just going to tell you about a couple of ways you can take advantage of some of these sailings, or if you are in that dream zone right now and you're thinking of putting something on the back burner and having something locked in, there are some nice ways you can do that right now. We have a wonderful program called Book with Confidence. This is actually, and I need to update this slide. This actually goes through until December, by the end of this month, I should say. And it actually means when you book a new cruise right now, you can cancel all the way up until 30 days prior to departure, and you get that future cruise credit. So you don't have to worry about running into penalties and this kind of thing. You know, you can put your money down, make your payment, but then you know you've got that you've got the value of that to come back should you decide to cancel or change your plans. We've got a really cool offer that out now, right now, in conjunction with Expedia Cruises, and that is Save Now, Cruise Later. You get all of these extras: drink package, gratuities, dining package, Wi-Fi if you're in a suite. And that's pretty much on most sailings that you'll find out there. Again, speak with your Expedia Cruises team. They know all about this. And next week, we've got a Black Friday promotion. So if you're thinking you're in the mood to maybe make a reservation next week, it starts from November 25th, running through to, that's covered on my screen, December 1st next week. And it's basically that offer that I just showed you, but it doesn't matter which cabin you book, category, you get Wi-Fi included. Oh yeah, here you go. Here are the correct dates for this, November 30th. There you go. And if you did, and there's all sorts of other specials that you can take advantage of. If you want to put a deposit down, then put a little bit of extra money down, like an installment, you can get shipboard credits. Or you just want to pay the whole thing off early, you get a reduction or shipboard credits. Speak with the Expedia Cruises consultant, and they will tell you about it. Speak with the West Edmonton, Valley View, or any of the Expedia Cruises team, any of the Expedia Cruises consultant from the Expedia Cruises that you work with, and they'll be able to help you out with these. The Expedia Cruises team, by the way, are incredibly knowledgeable. They are, not just there to be able to take advantage of these great deals, which, by the way, they have a lot of, because they have kind of an economy of scale. They can leverage group volume. They can leverage group blocks, and by that, I don't mean you have to be on board with a group of people, but because they pre-block so many rooms on our ships, we're able to pass on benefits, reductions, and extra benefits to them to pass on to you. So you're always going to get the best deal booking with Expedia Cruises, certainly more than you would if you booked with Holland America directly. So that's one great reason to be booking with Expedia Cruises when the time comes for you to make your plans. But I think the most important thing, especially in this day and age, is they are there for you. They are your advocate. We've seen earlier this year, what can happen when people, unfortunately, maybe find themselves missing their flight. They don't have a flight. They miss their connection. Something happens. It can happen in the normal world too. A flight is delayed. You need to know you've got someone at the end of a phone, or you can email. And that is what your Expedia Cruises consultant can do for you. They're in your community, and they're a real person right there ready to help you with all these great deals and expertise. So do make sure you're working with them. But that's about it from me. Thanks a lot for listening. I don't know if we have any questions, Randy, if you wanted to check for any.
Tom, that was fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Maybe just unshare your screen.
Yep.
I'm definitely ready to go. Even if it is to Alaska, as I look outside and it's, -15 and we're expecting 20 centimeters, but You know, Alaska is going to be one of those destinations this year that is going to be extremely popular because some people will want to stay closer to home. There's not that many ships sailing out of round trip Vancouver, so being able to experience the new Dam would be awesome. I've had this year, unfortunately, I had 2 cruises canceled on the Dam. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting on board at some point in the near future because, you know, BB King's and the Rolling Stone Lounge, I mean, those are awesome things that you've added to your ships. The Europe itineraries you have obviously are phenomenal. We're booking into 21 right now. Soon you'll have your 22 itineraries out. So for planning further in advance, that's also available. And just want to remind people that, you know, we're here to help you through this new age of planning travel because it is getting a little complicated in terms of border restrictions, potential COVID testing before you get to a destination. So we are been busy training ourselves on all the new requirements to get people traveling again. And, you know, although traveling is currently paused, the world's going to get traveling again. We know that. And it's time to start thinking where you want to go, you know, in later 21 or into 22. Tom mentioned the flexible booking policies. You know, the suppliers definitely know that's a concern for people, and we're here to help you through that. And, you know, we're already seeing some shortage of space, which is, you know, unbelievable, even for into, you know, January, February of 22. Just because everybody had so many vacations canceled that the pent-up demand is just ready and waiting to go. So make sure you talk to one of our Expedia Cruises consultants. We're here to help you. I don't think we have anything in the chat. So thank you, everybody. Please enjoy your evening. Stay safe, wash your hands, obviously, and don't hurt your back shoveling snow.
Hey, Randy, sorry, I had a question in there. I had a question in the chat, Randy.
All right. What's your question there, Gord? For the dining room, will tables for 2 and 4 be more readily available in the future? Tom.
That's a good question. First time I've had that. Thanks, Gord. I'm not sure. To be honest, you know, we're still working through those protocols, and I'm sure internally, our hotel operations departments are already figuring those things out, but it hasn't come through to us yet. We don't know. It could well be a possibility. We have certainly the space to play with those options. So yeah, we'll see. It could well be. Again, good questions. Kind of maybe we'll follow up with us a bit closer to the time, maybe.
And Gord, keep in mind, you know, when the cruise lines, not only Holland America, but everybody else starts sailing, they will be at reduced capacity. You know, somewhat due to demand, but also due to regulations. So if you had a ship with 60% of the people on board, obviously the dining room is meant to hold a full shipload of people. So they will easily be able to socially distance in the dining room as needed, especially in the beginning. And, you know, they'll keep things healthy and safe, just like, you know, restaurants in Edmonton have done. And, you know, whether it's, you know, if they have to put a plexiglass between tables, I'm sure they will do that, whatever needs to be done to keep people safe and healthy.
Yeah, very true.
Does anybody else have any questions? All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Again, enjoy the rest of your evening. We appreciate you coming to our travel talks. And hopefully we will be seeing you and talking to you soon. Have a great night.
Thanks so much. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Take care.